Close enough.
Motion to approve previous minutes, Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Signoracci, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous. We're going to table 1 through 7. Number 8, authorizing advance of 1031 Broadway in the City of Albany. Any questions? Motion to move it, Mr. Signoracci, second by Mr. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous. Number 9, next to the sheriff's. Number 9, the sheriff's office budget created deputy and 2 court attendant positions in the family court, 100% state funded. Any questions? Mr. Signoracci, second by Mr. Trochet, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 10, authorize the submission of a grant application for funding into an agreement regarding the state municipal facilities program amending the 2018 sheriff's budget, $125,000. It's a grant for search and rescue, 100% state. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, Sheriff, just on the information here, it says a traditional grant application process was not utilized with this grant. This office was made aware that the grant had been awarded and was asked to retroactively apply for it. There has to be the story behind that, isn't
Well,
there?
I reached out to Assemblymember McDonald and asked him, how do you get involved in this process? He gave us a one-pager of some pointers, and then he had a conversation with one of our staff members, the fire coordinator, and then he went forward and did it.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, well,
So this is sort of a member item kind of thing? Or?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And he says, oh, you have to apply the grant to get it, basically?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Clay, second. Mr. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 11, amending the 2018 Sheriff's Office budget for vehicle salvage, insurance money we received from an accident we were in. Any questions? Motion to move it, Mr. Signoracci, second, Mr. Torche. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Number 12, approving the Albany County Sheriff's Collective Bargaining Unit, CSEA 1000 Albany County Telecommunications Unit. Any questions? Motion to move it?
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, oftentimes we see the agreement was for 2% raises, and what I'd like from all the agencies, not just your sheriff, is the true cost of the raises, because we know that there are other raises that are given that aren't with the, quote, cost of living increase. So I don't know if you have that off your top of the head,
I
but...
very well may.
But this, just to alert all the agencies, this is a question I'm going to be frequently asking. What is the actual cost of salaries as opposed to what is strictly is the 2% cost of living?
We can get that.
You can get it for me, yeah, yeah.
Any other questions? Motion to move it. Mr. Torche, second by Mr. Miller, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Number 13 is approving collective bargaining, sheriff's collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters Local 294. Any questions? Motion to move it. Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Signoracci, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
I think that's it.
That's it for this
Number
one.
14, approving the Albany County Clerk's Office collective bargaining agreement with CSEA. Any questions?
Yeah, once again, I want
Yeah, we
to
understand.
underscore the point.
We
Okay,
have you on tape.
okay, thank you.
Motion to move it. Mr. Signoracci, second by Mr. Clay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Number 15, approving the probation collective bargaining unit with CSEA. Motion to move it. Mr. Miller, second. Mr. Torche, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. 16, approving Department of Probation collective bargaining unit with Council PEF Council 502. Any questions? Motion to move it, Mr. Signoracci, second by Mr. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Number 17, amending 2018 residential health care facility administrative adjustments. The Director of Employee Training coming in. It's a fantastic candidate, just requires a few more dollars. Any questions? Motion to move it, Mr. Signoracci, second by Mr. Torche, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 18, authorizing agreement with Workstations Consultants regarding acceptance of donated furniture. So we're getting some free desks and tables for these
Correct.
people. Very nice. Any questions? Motion to move it, Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Trochet, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Number 19, authorizing agreement, New York State Office of Mental Health regarding single-point asset service, Department of Youth and Family Services. This is a $79,000 state grant. Any questions? 100% state. Mr. Joyce, second. Mr. Signoracci, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
for the county clerk's
Number
office.
20, authorizing an agreement with New York State Office
For
of
the whole
Substance
records.
Abuse and Alcohol Services. This is another 100%, $617,000 state grant.
Yeah, it's right
Any
here.
questions?
Let's say
Motion
the
to move, Mr.
salary is
Joyce, second by Mr.
27,030,
Miller, all in
the
favor?
tax is 28,122 for
Opposed?
2 years.
Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Talk to you later for a second. I don't-
Number 21, authorizing acceptance of a grant to enter an agreement with the Rubin Community Health Fund regarding treatment and management of kidney disease. $84,000 grant. Any questions? Motion to move, Mr. Clay, second. Mr. Joyce, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 22, authorizing acceptance of the grant to fund and enter an agreement with Health Research, New York State Department of Health, on a local impact grant and to amend the 2018 Health Department budget, $27,000, 100% state funded. Any question? Motion by Mr. Geraci, second by Mr. Joyce. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 23, authorizing submission of a grant application and accepting of the grant funding with the National Association of County and City Health Officials, $39,000 grant. Any questions? Motion to move it, Mr. Siderachi, second by Mr. Torche, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 24, authorizing an agreement with the Better Health for Northeast New York regarding the cardiovascular health management project and amending the 2018 Health Department budget. Again, 100% state grant money. Any questions? Motion to move, Mr. Siderachi, second by Mr. Clay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Number 25, authorizing regarding agreement with the Health Centers New York and for hypertension and diabetes control services, $14,000, 100% federal money. Any questions? Motion to move, Mr. Siderachi, second by Mr. Clay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 26, amending the Resolution 398 of 2017 regarding agreement with Equinox for non-residential domestic violence services and amending the 2018 budget, $4,000, 100% Fed money. Any questions? Motion to move, Mr. Siderachi, seconded by Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Number 27, authorizing an agreement with Children Advocacy Center amending the 2018 budget. This is a renewal of a grant for $188,000, 100% state money. Any questions? Motion to move. Mr. Clay, second by Mr. Siderachi, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 28, amending the 2018 Water Purification District Administration adjustments. We're doing some promotions within the department. It's 100% budget neutral. Any questions? Motion, Mr. Geraci, second by Mr. Touche, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Number 29, authorizing accepting of funds from NYSERDA regarding engineering consulting services for the biosolids handling facility, in amending the 2018 Water Purification District budget, $50,000, 100% state funded. Any questions? Mr. Kraus.
I'd like to move it.
Oh, thank you.
Just a question,
Second.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Yeah,
Mr. Grant.
thank you. Where are we on this right now? They're studying it right now. Whereabouts in the process? How long is the study going to be, and when can we expect something?
I expect the draft to be completed within 2 weeks and
Okay.
the final within 1 month.
Okay. Now, they share the draft with you, or? Okay,
Any other questions?
thank you.
Motion to move with Mr. Kraus, second. Mr. Clay, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Number 30, amending the 2018 Soil and Water Conservation District budget, flood mitigation reimbursements, $119,000, 100% state funded. Any questions? Motion to move, Mr. Kraus, second by Mr. Miller. Do you have a question, Mr.
Yeah,
Miller?
one question.
Yes.
This just applies to burn, this grant, the mitigation.
Pardon me?
This mitigation grant just applies to the old burn mills that,
So there were three projects that were completed as part of this grant. 2 have already been completed. This one was in Bern. One other one I think was in Bern, and one was in another municipality I can get back to you on.
okay, thank you.
Motion to move, Mr. Sigarachi, second by Mr. Kraus. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Number 30, amending the 2018, we did go. 31, authorizing agreement with the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee regarding the Highway Safety Grant, $40,000, 100% state funded. Any questions? Motion to move it, Mr. Clay, second by Mr. Signoracci, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. 32, authorizing and enter an agreement with the Nelson A. Rockefeller Institute of Government regarding Albany County Shared Services Plan. $50,000 for a 2-year contract. These are the people that helped us with our shared services. Any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is $75,000 for them to do the shared services study.
Correct.
Now, we're continuing to pay out $50,000 for the next 2 years, another $100,000.
Correct.
What's the justification?
So, in the report, there were several proposals for shared services options. In the next year, technically, I guess in the next 2 years, we'll be required to implement these proposals. Many of them are very complicated. The most notable being the healthcare consortium idea. A lot of them will also require help amending state statute and making recommendations to our legislative delegation on how to make shared services easier. What this process uncovered is that while the state, and this is something that I'm sure many of you know, wants to encourage us to do more shared services, something that the chairman has said many times we've been doing for a long time. There are many roadblocks in the way in the form of state laws that prevent us from doing some creative things. So we really need the expertise of the folks at Rockefeller to help us, frankly, finalize a lot of the proposals that were contained in the final plan. Not all of them, some of them we will be able to do mostly on our own, but that's things like shared equipment and things of that nature that we're really formalizing something we've already been doing. But the very complicated aspects of the shared services plan will need the expertise that they've been providing us.
Mike, do you know if any other county contracted with another entity for the shared services plan?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I'm not aware that there are other counties that did. So my concern is, not only did we put $75,000 into the study, now we're going to continue it with $100,000 more. So I'm not convinced that this is an appropriate spending item for the legislature, but I'm willing to pass it to the floor. But I think it requires some further scrutiny among the members.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Any other questions? Motion moved. Mr. Signoracci, second by Mr. Trichet, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 33, amending the Albany County Budget Ministerial Corrections. These are all bargaining agreements that we have with different departments, budget neutral. Any questions? Motion to move, Mr. Signoracci, second. Mr. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 34 is authorizing agreement with New York State Parks and Rec for a snowmobile trail development grant, $12,908 grant, 100% state funding. We're passing this through to the snowmobile clubs.
I'd like to move it.
Motion by Mr. Krell, second by Mr. Clay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 35, authorizing cancellation of chargebacks, refunds, and real estate taxes that are unforeseen at 80 Cedar Lane in the town of Knox. This was a clerical error. Any questions? Motion to move. Mr. Signoracci, second by Mr. Miller, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. 36 is authorizing cancellation of chargebacks of delinquent real estate taxes in the Clinton Avenue in the city of Albany. This is actually owned by Palace Theater, so they are tax exempt. So any questions? Motion to move by Mr. Joyce, second by Mr. Clay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 37 is authorizing the tax levies upon the city of Cohoes. You don't want to do that, do you, Sid? Motion to move. Mr. Clay, second by Mr. Miller, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. 38, amount levied for unpaid water and sewer charges in the city of Cohoes. Any questions? Motion to move it. Mr. Trichet, second by Mr. Clay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Number 39, amount levies for other charges in the city of Cohoes. Any questions? Motion to move it. Mr. Trichet, second by Mr. Joyce, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Motion adjourned?
Motion.